When I was young, to trick my neighbor's sister into giving me red envelopes, I promised her, "When I grow up, I'll marry you." Years later, when we met again, she sat in my house, her face flushed with embarrassment, smiling and introducing herself. "I'm the childhood fiancé we joked about. We promised to play wedding when we were kids." At my new company, I was immediately pulled into the group chat and saw the beautiful female CEO sending red envelopes. If I didn't grab one, I'd be a foolish dog. So I messaged back, "Thank you, boss, for the red envelope. I'll love you forever." After grabbing it, I even licked my lips. Everyone in the office stared at me in shock, and I smiled back. Since I was 3, I've known how to use phones to browse the web. By 5, I was addicted to social media. No matter where I go, my online chattiness never changes. After receiving the red envelope, the CEO added me on WeChat. To avoid awkwardness, I sent an emoji greeting, but she didn't reply. I saw she was typing, but nothing appeared. Did she want to retract the red envelope? I thought. I'd only been here for 2 weeks with no achievements. I returned it and she sent 6 dots. She neither confirmed nor refused. Staring at the unaccepted refund, my heart bled. "If you're not messaging me because of the red envelope, can you return it? After 24 hours, it will auto-refund." Each of her messages was icy. I thought, 24 hours is too slow. Money's safer in my wallet. She couldn't argue, so she refunded it. Though it was only 21.6 yuan, I felt like the luckiest colleague. They said the CEO was on a business trip and would return in half a month. I planned to study the company to avoid being fired for not meeting her high standards. As a recent graduate intern, my salary after taxes and insurance was 8,000 a month. I didn't want to lose this job. I studied hard and often competed in the group chat to grab red envelopes. Who doesn't love the boss? Every day, the group was flooded with praise for her. Great boss. Sending red envelopes daily. I genuinely loved it. I looked forward to work every day, hoping to meet her. Following her would be a blessing I earned in 10 lifetimes. I'd never sleep in a dumpster again. One day, the group leader rushed in. "Hurry up. Perfect all documents, the boss is back." I'd always imagined her as a stern, middle-aged woman. But the woman before me was tall, wearing a tight dress and red high heels. Cold yet alluring. From afar, I smelled her light perfume. Wow, such a beautiful boss. I could brag to my buddies. I quickly snapped a photo. But the click echoed in the silent office. "What are you doing?" the leader shouted. I stood up. "Sir, the B-boss is too beautiful. I wanted to show my friends." He was furious, but the CEO brushed her hair, smirked, and looked at me. She seemed amused. After the meeting, she called me to her office. Sitting on her imported Italian leather chair, she said gently, "No one's here. Take as many photos as you want." I felt doomed. "I'll be fired within a month." I begged. "I lack experience. Can you fire me but pay my half-month salary?" She chuckled. "Take your time. I won't fire you." I almost fainted. She seemed sincere. I took over 10 photos. Overnight, I became the office sensation. The CEO noticed my laziness but didn't fire me. She even let me take her photo. I became famous, even known downstairs. After her return, she stopped sending group red envelopes and messaged me directly. "Ryan, buy me coffee." Or, "Ryan, send documents." Each red envelope notification felt like her calling me. "Boss, I'll love you forever." I'd message back, reveling in my sycophantic life. After a month, I'd earned over 2,000 yuan from red envelopes. No need to worry about food. In the second month, my mom called me home for dinner. When I opened the door, there was the CEO wearing a gentle dress, her hair in waves, sitting on the sofa. I retreated, confused. "This is my house." My mom pushed me forward. "Meet Serena. She's my friend's granddaughter. You two played together as kids." She added, "He's addicted to social media and money." Then left to cook. After chatting, I learned it was Serena's birthday. I checked my WeChat balance. I'll give her all the red envelopes I've grabbed. Would she realize my intent? She just smiled at me. At dinner, my parents gave her a red envelope, but she refused. I quickly transferred 888 yuan to her, but she still refused. Why won't she take it? Then ding. A WeChat notification showed she'd accepted it. My heart ached. Wasted money. When leaving, Serena offered me a ride. My parents were ecstatic and I was thrilled. She accepted my 888. I rode with her thinking, does she remember who I am? Suddenly she said, when we were kids during New Year, your family gave you lots of red envelopes. You were jealous and chased me begging for one. You promised to marry me when we grew up, saying, all a woman's money is managed by her husband. You tricked me then, and when you left, you made me promise to save all future red envelopes. Don't spend them alone because I'll come back for you. I'd done such terrible things as a child. Why don't I remember? I stammered. Ryan, did you forget that promise? My voice trembled. Is it possible I've completely forgotten? I quickly covered my mouth. I hadn't meant to say it aloud. Serena's face darkened. I felt like she'd crashed the car. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't know my childhood prank would hurt you. If I knew my boss would be you, I'd have used my own money to support you. She drove me to her apartment. I bowed 90 degrees. Thank you, boss, for the ride. I'll love you forever. She smirked, her face darkening. You always say that, she said. I wanted to cry but had no tears. Since childhood, I've known how to flatter for benefits. Money is my life, I can't lie about that. At my apartment, when I turned on the light, the old wiring shocked her. The air grew cold. Did you invite me in or try to kill me? She asked. I quickly turned on the light, revealing my old furniture. I rent this cheap place. Only $500 a month. Others might judge, but I love it. It's tidy with fresh flowers, a fish tank, and a cute orange cat. Life's full of energy. She was angry. You earn $8,000, get weekends off, and receive red envelopes. Why live in a dump? I shrugged. I saved to support my future wife. What about the red envelopes? Are they also for her? Yes, I replied. She fell silent. I quickly covered my mouth. Why do I always blurt out the truth? Her face turned ashen. She must think I tricked her out of her red envelopes for another woman. I felt like I'd hurt her. Back at work, I felt like a wilted flower. The pain was unbearable. I decided to resign. Social insurance, $8,000 salary, weekends off, and red envelopes all gone. As I mourned, Serena messaged me on WeChat, sending another red envelope. Come to my office. What? I already quit. Why won't she leave me alone? Is she plotting to make me vomit up all the money? Even from childhood? I stormed into the CEO's office. Madam, why did you call me? She smiled, her industrial smile I'd known since childhood. She said nothing, threw my resignation on the table and asked, why quit? Is my salary not enough? What's the other company offering? Double, I said. She frowned. Which company? I realized she thought I'd been poached. I'm not arrogant, but as a fresh graduate, who'd hire me? $8 million with insurance is a dream job. My brother interns for $4 million and runs around like a dog. I'd never find such a job again. She grew angrier. If you quit without a new job, you're reckless. Ryan, you've grown up with courage, she said, laughing. I shook my head. I've been listening to The Lone Hero lately. Are you really this terrifying? Bringing up my childhood scam. Is this your reason to fire me? She said. Salary raised to $10K. 2-day weekends. Insurance unchanged. Oh my God, really? I agreed immediately. If the boss says go east, I won't dare go west. I laughed. A fresh graduate earning over $10K? She's not my boss, but my parent. She ordered me to make coffee, book hotels, even prepare clothes for her. Am I her assistant? But no more tedious documents, no more awkward stares. Truly refreshing. After work, Serena drove me home. I wanted to refuse, but since she'd accepted my 888 as a birthday gift, letting her be my free driver wasn't too bad. I happily went home, hugged my orange cat and shared my joy. I grabbed my phone to tell my friends, but the power went out. My old house often loses power. I went to the fuse box. Smoke was rising. I quickly used a fire extinguisher. My joy ended with fixing the fuse. Then a knock on the door. Through the peephole I saw Serena. The room was dark, no hallway lights. She turned on her phone flashlight, scanned the room, saw the fuse box and extinguisher, and her face paled. Move in with me, she said. A man and woman sharing a room. Isn't that inconvenient? I asked. She smirked. You seem comfortable in this mess. She nagged. If you're late tomorrow and docked pay, don't cry to me about poverty. Finally, she scolded me. I surrendered, put on my clothes and followed her. She lived in the city center, in a bustling area. Her home had smart lighting. Mine wasn't as fancy, but it wasn't bad. I'm just cheap choosing an old house, a disaster really. I'd meant to find a new place, but I was too busy. At her apartment, she prepared matching slippers for me. But, a single woman with men's slippers? Does she have a boyfriend? If her boyfriend found out, wouldn't that be terrible? I stood at the door, not wanting to be mistaken for a third party. She smiled gently. Didn't you see? These slippers are new. She pulled me into the master bedroom. You'll sleep here now, she said, smiling. I don't want today's incident to repeat. You're my employee. I'm responsible for you. I looked around, flustered. She noticed and said, It's free. She added, If God closes a door for you, I'll open another. I hugged her tightly. You're wonderful, Serena. I love you. I love you to death. She looked at me, her eyes full of laughter. Oh, this is my ancestors' fault. I just offended you. I said, I'll take a shower. After bathing, lying on the cozy double bed, I felt like I was dreaming. I'll work hard. Any laziness is disrespecting my 10 million salary. The next day, I woke up half an hour earlier. Serena was too kind. I had to buy breakfast for her. But when I woke up, the kitchen smelled amazing. Had she already made breakfast? My chance to impress was gone. She took out 2 sandwiches and 2 cups of hot milk. Sorry I woke up late, I said. She just smiled. Eat quickly. After you finish, I'll come to your place and move everything over. My rent was still half a month away. She glanced at me and smiled. I've waived your rent. Why are you still worried about that half month? You're really like a stingy puppy, she teased. I felt a bit smitten. Probably just my imagination. I'm just an employee who scammed her red envelopes as a child. It's better if she doesn't kill me to vent her anger. My salary increased. My position changed. This is the highlight of my life. Serena still sent me red envelopes, always 50 yuan. I happily accepted and worked harder. I moved all my things to her house and placed them in my room. She nodded silently. I smiled and took out my voice recorder to save evidence. If Serena allows Ryan to work for her until he retires. Serena blushed, her ears turning red. She repeated her words and added, Ryan can stay in my house as long as he wants. My face turned red, the air grew thick, so I quickly took back my phone. Got the evidence, I said, then continued bathing. Serena nodded, watched me close the door and lay on the bed. I listened to the recording several times. Her voice and content were perfect. A few days later, my mom visited with many specialties. Seeing her at Serena's house, I was flustered. Mom, let me explain. Currently, I'm renting from Serena, and she has nothing else. I stammered. I was born into a traditional family. I can't mess around. I'm scared you'll call Dad to beat me. She stared at me. You're overthinking. Serena told me long ago she wants to take you in. I'll overlook you renting that old dump. Aren't you scared it'll burn down at night and roast you? You're making her terrified, do you know that? My mom complained, but I assured her I had a fire extinguisher. She and Serena chatted all day as if they were sisters. When Mom left, I pulled her aside. Did I have a half-sister? Why are you acting like this? She rolled her eyes and left. Since working with Serena and commuting together, rumors spread in the office. I'm eating soft rice or a toad eating swan meat. I don't know who started them, but the office was flooded with gossip. One day, I went to the staff office to get documents, and even new colleagues were fed these rumors. I slunk back with the documents. Serena asked what was wrong, but I said nothing. I left early without waiting for her and ignored her calls. I messaged her that I'd quit and would discuss it at work the next day. She didn't reply. I avoided her for days, only meeting when necessary. I was silent as a chicken. Serena likely knew why I avoided her. She announced in the office that anyone spreading rumors would be fired, but they still gossiped quietly. I handed her coffee and left, but she stopped me. Are you avoiding me? I hesitated, then said, I'm afraid it'll affect your reputation. She stood up and walked to me. What reputation do I have? Let me count. Cold CEO. Ice goddess, refined lady. Didn't you call me that too? I shook my head. I have another title for you. God of wealth. She smirked and laughed heartily. Her usual cold face broke into a big smile. You're still obsessed with money. Let the rumors be. I don't mind. I nodded blankly. The next day, old colleagues approached me. Ryan, you're the boss's fiancé. I spat out my tea. Who said that? The boss. She came to the office and announced it herself before leaving work yesterday. I've been carpooling with her these days. I really didn't know. I rushed to Serena's office and felt guilty seeing her. Thank you for everything, but this is like sacrificing your reputation, I said. She looked at me. From now on, just treat me better. As long as we know the truth, and our parents are friends with grandmothers as besties, how could I not help you, right? I was touched. Most of all, I could finally leave work with her. Buses are truly terrible and slow. I have to wake up an hour early daily. I'll keep Serena's kindness in my heart and never forget it. I specially bought a cookbook and took Serena grocery shopping on the weekend. Choose whatever you want. I'll cook today. She looked at me thoughtfully as we bought vegetables. Checkout, I quickly paid over 300 yuan. A loud explosion came from the kitchen. Though not my first time cooking, I truly didn't know how. Serena rushed in, saw the pot lid on the floor, pushed me outside and told me to sit on the sofa. I wanted to crawl into a hole. Clearly I wanted to cook, but instead she ended up cooking. I praised her hard to reduce my embarrassment. Your skills are amazing. Your future husband will be lucky. She puffed out her nose at my flattery. Washing dishes was my job. I really didn't know how to act around her. Recently my cat has acted strangely, meowing, scratching doors and peeing everywhere. After work with Serena, she saw the cat had peed on the bed. Sorry, I'll handle it right away, I said, quickly changing the sheets. The quilt was ruined, had to be thrown out, but Serena said, I'll sleep with you tonight. Don't worry, I'm a gentleman, I said. She was silent, then pointed at the cat. Your cat is in heat. I glanced over and quickly covered my eyes. Is this your first time having a cat? She asked, not caring as she took the cat from me, put it in a cage and played relaxing music. I sighed. I'm sorry, this is my first time being a cat dad. It's the pain of a single father. You need to find a mother like me, Serena said. My heart skipped a beat. My cat is in heat. Does that mean I need to neuter it? I heard her heartbeat a bit faster. She stared at me, then ignored me. She said she'd sleep on the sofa, but the cat was so noisy at night I couldn't sleep either. Half asleep, she came to my room. I gave her half the quilt, found some clothes, and placed them as a divider. Let's neuter the cat after its heat cycle, she said. I yawned. This is your cat now. During its heat, you'll be its mother. She didn't answer, clearly angry. Let it be your cat for a while, I said. The next morning when I woke up, Serena was in my arms, hugging me tightly. I knew I was a pervert and quickly stood up, pretending nothing happened. Since you hugged me today, I can't wake up early, I said. We had to buy breakfast. All day I thought about my cat. I suddenly asked her, do you think caging it like this makes it suffocate? She tilted her head. Maybe. How would I know? I'm not a cat. I muttered. It's your cat now. She ignored me. At noon, Serena dragged me to her sister's house. I thought she had a contract to sign, but it was to visit her sister, who had 3 cats, including a male cat like mine. The sister's cat, Mia, was a bit shy but didn't bite. Take care of it, her sister said, looking at me suspiciously. Haven't I won her over yet? I shrugged. She laughed and said nothing. We quickly took the new bride home. My cat, seeing Mia, immediately attached itself to her. Look, they want to consummate right away, I said in surprise. Serena's face flushed instantly. She suddenly ran into my room. I followed, asking if she was okay. Why are your cheeks red? She glanced at me, then suddenly hugged me. Outside, the cat's meows were incessant. Her heart beat rapidly. Next time, don't watch them be so intimate, she said. I nodded weirdly. I asked Serena, do you like me? Not that I've eaten honey, but your words today make my heart flutter. I'm the type who never gives up until I reach the Yellow River. I fell for you the first time I saw you. She glanced at me, sighed helplessly. You know yet still ask? She lifted her foot and kissed me for the first time. I almost suffocated. She likely noticed my embarrassment and let me go. I was like a drowning man gasping for air, my heart pounding. Don't be scared, just take responsibility, she said, laughing. My heart felt like it had jumped out of my throat. I couldn't control myself before her beauty. I hugged her tightly and went into my room. I'd planned to conquer her from the start. What I didn't expect was that I'd actually dare. The next morning we sat at the dining table, staring at each other. Your dad will say you made the first move, I said. I really want to rewind last night and slap myself. I actually pushed over my own god of wealth. When will we get the marriage certificate? When do you want to set the wedding day? Serena asked eagerly. Can I really marry my beautiful boss? I didn't dare think about it. Her face dropped. Is it because my skills weren't good? Are you dissatisfied? I can learn. It wasn't good the first time, but I'll keep improving. My heart jolted. Is this something I can hear without paying? Then I heard the cats again, even during the day, unbridled. We bowed our heads, our minds filled with last night's events. The employee-boss relationship had finally crossed a line. No flowers or red wine, just a kiss and sweet cat cries. Serena insisted I take her to meet my parents. Though she'd met them before, my mom happily cooked a feast, and my dad brought out a cherished bottle of wine. At the table, my dad said Serena should stay, and my mom said, don't leave today. We'll arrange a guest room later. So my dad and I drank cup after cup. You kids drink first. Your mom is preparing the guest room, she said. Mom, don't worry. Let Serena sleep in my room, I said. After I spoke, my parents were stunned. Serena was still pouring wine for my dad. My mom and dad looked at each other. I didn't know what they were thinking. My dad found a large bowl, filled it with wine, and handed it to me. Our family rule is not to bully daughters-in-law. Ryan isn't here today, so you must drink in his place. My mom looked at Serena kindly. Girl, don't worry. If you marry my son, we'll be one family. I looked at the huge bowl of wine my dad gave me. How could he bully an innocent person? My mom stopped preparing the guest room, pinched my waist, and scolded me for developing too quickly with Serena. I got drunk quickly. My dad finished the wine, and my mom handed me over to Serena. She helped me into the room, planning to undress and clean me, but I sat up. I'm not drunk, I said. She glanced at me and laughed. Your family is truly traditional, she said. Serena also wanted to take me to meet her parents. She said her dad was a veteran and her mom a retired teacher. I'd never been so anxious. Should I call your parents uncle and aunt? Or do they prefer dad and mom, sir? Serena whispered in my ear, her warm breath making me blush. The door suddenly opened. Her mom saw me and hurriedly pulled me inside. This is the first time in my life I've been so quiet, I said. Serena smirked. Ryan, you're a talented child. Your mom really likes you. This cold girl Serena is always distant. If she bullies you, tell your parents, we'll protect you. I shook my head quickly. She's a girl I feel I should cherish more. Her parents gave me a red envelope before leaving, saying it was a gift for the future son-in-law. How could I be so rude? Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. From now on, we're a family. No need for formalities. Sooner or later, you'll be my parents and your money will be mine too, I said. With Serena after receiving the red envelope, my flattery reached the skies. Just now I was a timid puppy, but now I could chat better than the neighbor. I looked at her parents. They glanced at each other, then each took out a bank card from their pocket. You're such a good child. We said we'd find you as soon as possible, they said. Despite having 2 more bank cards, I still felt flustered. On the way home, I asked her, what did your mom say about this marriage? She told me the marriage was decided by her grandmother and mine. They'd agreed that if we had a boy and a girl, they'd marry. Since my generation was all boys, it passed to us. When we were kids, I heard about this, but I was young and forgetful. You never mentioned it to avoid pressuring me, right? I smiled generously. No, I truly forgot. I could only sigh that fate was so fragile. When we got home, Serena brought out an old piggy bank, gave me a hammer, and asked me to smash it. I swung the hammer decisively. My eyes lit up seeing the contents, all red envelopes. This is all your childhood red envelopes. You said you'd come back for them when we were kids, Ryan said while sorting the red envelopes. How could she be cold and distant? She's clearly kind-hearted. Seeing so much money, I hugged her tightly and quietly put the bank cards in her hand. From now on, you'll be my wife. Everything is yours, I said. She pushed them back into my hand, smiling. What I give you is yours. This is your personal money. What you prepared for your future wife. I nodded vigorously. I married Serena. Whether at her family's or mine, I praised them to disguise. When giving me money, they smiled and stuffed red envelopes into my hands, not feeling forced at all. At the wedding, her dad placed her hand in mine, then disappeared. Later, my mom told me he'd hidden in the restroom and cried a lot. So after marriage, we bought a house opposite theirs. During holidays, we visited both families. She got pregnant in the 3rd month. After discussions, she stayed home to rest, and I took over the company's work while she managed finances. She'd sleep at her husband's house one day, her mother's the next. After the baby was born, my mom and her mom took turns caring for her, fearing postpartum stress. There were no mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflicts, no family quarrels. Our cats, Pumpkin and Mia, had 4 kittens, 2 big oranges and 2 small ones running all over the house. When our son was born, a kitten lay on him and stepped on his chest. That night, as I worked, Serena suddenly pressed her round belly against me and asked, "Husband, do you want a second child?" Thinking of my beautiful wife, I smiled silently and turned off the computer.